is an in-person meeting held at 870 Colfax here in Benton Harbor. In addition, a live stream of this meeting is available at the following link. Questions may be submitted beforehand to natalie.singer@bhas.org or presented in person during the public comment section as indicated in the agenda. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. Requests for special assistance, including for persons with disabilities, may be sent to natalie.singer@bhas.org. I call this meeting to order officially at 6:04 p.m. We'll begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Singer, in the absence of our secretary, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson,
Present.
Vice President Bowen, Secretary Triplett, Treasurer Bradley, Trustee Rocket Martin. Present. Trustee Gavin.
Present.
Trustee Doyle.
Present.
Quorum has been established.
All right, next up, we have approval of the agenda. We do have one request from the finance office. If we could move business and finance. Oh, she's already first.
Yeah.
Oh, they already took care of that for me. Okay, so at this time, I ask, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, so I received the motion from trustee Rocket Martin. Trustee Doyle, can I use you as the support? The motion has been made by trustee Rocket Martin and supported by trustee Doyle. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Oh, actually, the closed session, was that what I requested? Okay. I'm sorry, we no longer have a need for the closed session currently. I was pending an opinion of council and thought that I may have it today. However, we no longer have that. So trustee Rocket Martin, are you okay with approval of the agenda with the removal of the closed session as noted?
Yes.
And trustee Doyle, do you support? All right, the motion has been made by trustee Rocket Martin and supported by trustee Doyle that we approve the agenda with the amendment of removing the closed session. Any questions, comments, and concerns?
A quick question.
You have the
President
floor.
Robinson. I was wondering if there was an update on the partnership agreement.
Partnership agreement? He said not just yet. Okay, if there's no other questions, Ms. Singer, can you please call the vote? Yes?
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
All right, next up is review of board norms. The Board of Education norms for Benton Harbor area schools. We will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. Those are pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and presuming positive intention. Next up, we have public comment on agenda items. Is there anyone present to make a public comment on an agenda item? Hearing none, we'll proceed. Next week in our regular board meeting, we'll take a vote on the approval of meeting minutes for special session 1/7/2025, regular session 1/23/2025. We hope to have the minutes available from the video. And then next, we anticipate special session 1/28/2025. So be sure to take a look at those minutes. If you have any corrections or adjustments, let us know prior to our upcoming meeting. As a reminder, protocol as of 9/13/2022, all comments will be limited to 2 minutes per trustee per topic. Up first, we have a presentation by Ms. Hightower on the Benton Harbor High School lunchroom mural project. You have the floor.
Hello. I am very excited to share what my students have been doing in class. And they're so excited to actually get started with this. I just wanted to show the board first before we start painting soon. So This semester, I had decided to kind of go into more career-oriented things in art. And one of the things I wanted to start with was murals. So murals is something that I do quite regularly out in the community, and I wanted to really show the kids the process because I know not every one of my students will be artists, but what they can take away from it is that everything has a process. And to accomplish big things, you do have to follow some steps to get it done. So what I had them do, these are 4 out of the 5 things that I taught them in the process of the murals is one, as we need to investigate, we need to figure out what kind of murals want to be seen by our public, by our community. Once you've investigated and asked the questions from the clients, which our client happened to be our lunchroom director, Ms. Quinn, we then went to drawing it out, and now we're in the approval stage before we get to painting. So as you can see, we've first had them get together and get in their sketchbooks and explore what they would like to see on the walls. And then I separated and put them into groups in the classroom. And during this process, after they had spoken to Quinn and me, if you want, I'll pass these around. These are some of the final mural ideas that they came up with. I'm going to select one from each class, and we have already sections in the cafeteria that we have picked out for each classroom's murals. And also, if you want, while you pass them around, like on the backs of them, there are explanations, or at least there should be. That was one of the things that I asked them to do, is to explain why they made the choices that they made. And yes, I just wanted to make the board aware of what we're about to do in our cafeteria and what the students have accomplished so far. Uh, the location is going to be in the old cafeteria. There are 5 sections on the side of the wall that are separated by walls, by brick sections right now. And they will be above there's a black line, so the murals will be above that black line in each section. And do you have, anybody have any questions for me or thoughts about the?
Yeah, I just say this is an amazing partnership. So, my name's Quinn. I'm the food service director. It's been a great partnership working with the class. And so these are going by the booths. So we have these new booths with our new furniture. And so by sort of looking within our school community, thinking how we wanted to refresh the space now that we have this fancy new furniture, the class has been amazing. And Ms. Hightower has been fantastic with the ideas and just her own history and own abilities to do this. I'm so excited to see the kids have that accomplishment as well. So we just wanted to make sure we showed you kind of where they were headed and what they were thinking. If you have any questions, she's all yours.
So I'll open the board up for questions or comments. Trustee Gavin?
Ms. Hightower, I just want to, say thank you for coming. And I love the fact that you're teaching them the process. This is totally immersing them into their community. They're able to see their part in it. I love the pictures. I love how engaged the students are. So thank you these are the types of projects that I love, hands-on, and they can see their impact. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I- Also, for your dedication to our students and to our district. I mean, one big mural or many small ones or?
There's many small ones. It's like 16 feet by 5 feet or
Okay,
so.
painted around the walls.
Yes, so they'll have their own section. Each class should have their own section.
Okay.
Okay, so I absolutely love this. I know sometimes I have a poker face and you can't tell how I feel, but I think that this is absolutely amazing. I like to see our kids doing something that's fresh and new. And so by contributing to the mural project, they also become a part of history because we may come in here 5 to 10 years from now and the murals will be there. So I appreciate you for trusting Benton Harbor area schools and joining our team, but also using your talents to impact our kids. And what really impressed me is that you required them to explain the mural because that brings the thinking and the comprehension and you connect it directly to the basic skills that we're trying to develop here beyond art. So thank you.
Welcome.
And Madam President, if I may say, some of the paintings some of the examples that she gave, I had the privilege of being some of their previous principals. And to see the maturity from middle school to high school is a testament that our kids can do, they do grow, and they do go through changes like every other child does in middle school. And I used to tell every parent, and I still tell parents, when your kids get to middle school, and I think you have a middle schooler, they change into different humans, but they will come back to their senses when they get to high school. So this is a true testament, especially for one of our students. I won't call anybody's name out, but especially for one of our students. It was a tearjerker for me to see how they have matured and grown and are able to produce such beautiful works of art.
Thank you. Trustee Doyle, did you have anything or are you okay?
I just really think that it's amazing to have our kids be able to express themselves and to piggyback on President Robinson to explain why they chose what they chose. The process, I think that's really great, and I really appreciate you for putting that work in to challenge our kids to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Do you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, did y'all have any favorites when you're looking through or do you?
I think there was one that said something about them being strong. Stay stronger, we're stronger, something to that extent. I really liked. That was probably my favorite because I think that's a message that rings strong, not only for the students, but for us. Let me see.
Tiger, I think the last one I'm looking to say, hi tigers, or just a welcome tigers.
Okay.
A lot of times when I know elementary kids.
Stay strong,
Stay strong,
tigers.
tigers.
I
Okay.
I like this one. I love them all, but I think it's the message of this one. I might have needed this message tonight. It might be.
President Rob. So of course, mine would be the love, kind, peace, all the hands
Okay.
together. That one. Pleasure.
I like this one.
You like that
When the
one?
elementary kids come up to the high school or whatever, the lunchroom or whatever, they have a chance to see themselves as a little tiger.
Oh, yeah, that is cute. All right, awesome. I wish now this was a day I wish all 7 of us were here so they could see it. But we will try to ensure that they at least are aware of what your presentation was about. It is linked into the agenda. So we'll be sure to tell them how great the images are and we're looking for it. Now, as far as the approval process, who approves you? Like, how will you decide what you're gonna do? What does that look like?
So I did split them up into groups, most of the classes into 2 groups. So what I'll do is I'll take in consideration what y'all said about your favorites here. And I'll also think about like what will look best in the classroom, which projects seem to be the most complete and the most thought out. And those are probably the ones that we're gonna be approving here.
Okay, so don't use my voice more than you use theirs. Okay, so take into consideration what I said, but if they say no, then we don't go with what I said.
Okay,
Okay,
I can do that.
thank you so much. Great job. Okay, moving right along. Up next, we have the MASB Board of Directors election packet. So as you all are aware, we have to take a vote next week to select the representative that we think should be representing for our district on the MASB board. There are individuals that are noted here from from the various regions that are running. Our particular region is Region 6, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So you all want to pay attention to the candidates that are specifically running for Region 6. And then we have to make a determination next week on who we actually vote for as a board. We've done this before. I'm not sure if we've done it. This board has done it all together for MASB, but I know for certain we've done it for Barry Risa before. So it would be the same process. Someone would make an initial motion. We would kind of consult about that, and then we would proceed with the selection on behalf of the board. And then Ms. Singer will send that in to MASB so that they know for certain who exactly we have selected as a board. So those running for Region 6 are Tiana Harrison, Kalamazoo Public Schools. In Kalamazoo County, she is the current board president for Kalamazoo Public Schools Board of Education. She brings over a decade of governance and leadership experience. She was appointed in 2014, reelected in 2020. She knows she's had the honor of serving her community in various capacities, including vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And then we also have Miss Elizabeth Odell. She comes from St. Joseph County ISD. Her initial statement says she's been active in St. Joseph County ISD for 27 years. She's taken advantage of opportunities to learn about best practices for serving and supporting the education process in our communities. And she's held various positions from member to president. So they have their full election statements as well. You all may have received emails from them. They also sent individual letters. Sometimes each board member should get those. So I'll open it up if you guys have any initial feedback now. If you don't, we can wait and have that conversation when we have our board present next week.
For the wait.
You prefer to wait? Okay, so just look over those two, check your email for their letters because they're going to, it may be different than the actual election statement. And then I would be asking for a recommendation of which individual that we're selecting. I have met both of them. They're both very nice women, very great leaders in just being in MASB. I do have a fan favorite, but I'll wait until we have that conversation because I don't want my choice to lead you all's choices. All right. So if there's no other discussion, we're going to keep moving very swiftly through the meeting. Our next item of business is the county-wide strategic goal update. That was also linked in your packet. So Benton Harbor Area Schools is a part of Barry Risa, of course. We have meetings with the Board of Education presidents and superintendents for each district. And so we meet, we discuss mutual concerns and issues that we're having. The superintendents are always communicating, but the board presidents, it's our opportunity to then communicate and build a collaboration for the county. And so one of the things that they shared was a county-wide strategic goals, their January 2025 update. So I just wanted to ensure that we did bring that information back to you all. Their first goal is noted as literacy. Their second goal is math. Third goal, well-being, and then they notated principals professional development that they're doing. One of the things that I really liked about this piece of it was the notation. This is on the back page. There's two separate types of skills for each section. So there's people skills, but they break them down into engaging in instructionally focused interactions with teachers. And then the second element is building a productive climate, because sometimes we think those are one and the same, but those are really two separate skill sets. For organization, they have facilitating collaboration in professional learning communities, and then managing personnel and resources strategically. So I was really impressed with the fact that they broke those down. I did double check with Dr. Buss that we have actively been participating in that program, and I'll allow you to speak to that.
And this time you actually caught me off guard, Madam
I'm
President.
sorry.
Which one was it?
The administrators, professional development in Benton Harbor Area Schools is taking advantage of that, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So from the beginning, from the inception of this year, all of our principals have had the opportunity, elementary and secondary principals have had opportunities to attend. It was a mandate that they attend so we can ensure that we were supporting them from last year's from the previous school year's board meetings. It was an ask from the board that to ensure that all of our administrators get the professional development and support that they need. So they've been attending this year's trainings.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board about the MASB update? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed. Next up on the agenda is the resolution to protect the Department of Education. So each of you more than likely received an email. Trustee Doyle, was the email personally from you to everyone? Okay, from Trustee Doyle asking that we sign electronically in support of the resolution to protect the Department of Education. I remember distinctively Vice President Bowens indicated that he thought it would be powerful that we actually not only sign individually, but take the stand as a board. So what I did do was ask that Ms. Singer actually connect the resolution to our board agenda and that we would actually take a vote. I was comfortable with us taking the vote tonight. However, I think in absence of the rest of our board, I don't know how strong a four-person board statement would be, even though it's reflective of all of us. So I'm thinking maybe we wait until next week to take the vote on this. Is that okay with you guys, given your time frame? Okay. Did you have anything that you wanted to add in support of us doing so? Supporting the resolution? Any motivation to your peers to vote yes? Or maybe you can share why you asked that we support it?
Because the Board of Education is very important for our children to get quality education. And if we're not here to govern that, to make sure that they're getting what they need, who's gonna do that? So that was my drive. The kids, what they need, and their education.
All right, and just to give the public a brief understanding, so this would be Benton Harbor Area Schools direct statement to the U.S. Department of Education to protect some of the anticipated changes that are coming up with the recent switch in our presidential elections. So we would be essentially now therefore be it resolved that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education strongly urges congressional representatives to reject any proposals to eliminate or weaken the U.S. Department of Education. Be it further resolved that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education advocates for the strengthening of the Department of Education's capacity to serve all Americans, ensuring that every student has access to a high-quality education. It's rare that we take a vote same day. I was actually prepared to do that today had we had a full board present. However, as stated, I think it'd be stronger if we have all of us present next week and take that vote and give input individually as to why we are deciding to take this stand. So thank you, Trustee Doyle, for sharing this with us. Thank you to Vice President Bowens for making the recommendation that we make a board statement, and I'm really excited about us doing so. Any other comments from the board regarding that? All right, go ahead.
Say that I'm just really proud that our board is prioritizing education on, not just the local level, but also the federal level and standing behind the Department of Education. I think it's so important for us to make sure that those funds, those federal, not just the state funds, but that the federal funds also are prioritized to educate our children. So I'm glad that I appreciate Trustee Doyle for bringing this forward. And I thank you, President Robinson, for also adding this to the agenda and prioritizing it as well.
All right, awesome. So we will proceed. Next is the Committee of the Whole proposed schedule. Trustee Gavin has asked that if you all remember in previous conversations, we discussed looking at Committee of the Whole and making adjustments in our upcoming February meeting. Trustee Gavin has made a slight adjustment to her initially proposed changes to our committee work. Based on conversations that she's had with MASB and other research that she's done. So at this point, I pass the floor to Trustee Gavin for her update on her suggestions for committee work moving forward. And can we check the mics? I don't know if it's the radiators, but I can barely hear Doyle and Gavin. Is there any way to increase their levels?
Thank you, President Robinson. I'll try to speak up as well, if that will help. So, I'm really grateful that the full board was just very open to using a critical friends protocol during our workshop. I want to say it was maybe last week, our workshop last week. We really had an opportunity to hear questions, concerns, go over the presentation. And the purpose of this committee of the whole proposal is that we free up the time of our staff, our superintendent, and our board so that more time can be dedicated actually getting into the work, and our committee and our work sessions can be more productive, transparent and proactive. And we can just kind of streamline the process. And so the only difference between, I don't think I need to go through this whole document. Just the changes, right, President
Yes,
Robinson?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the main difference, the first proposal was that we have committee meetings, 1 hour committee meetings during our work session time. After speaking with the attorney, the recommendation was that we have committee of the whole. So instead of just our 3 committee members being there during that time, we need to have at least a quorum at those meetings, but we would still keep the same times. This would allow us to be respectful of the Open Meetings Act. It would allow us to have that public meeting. And then, if for some reason we don't have everyone present, those committee chairs can, hold a meeting. But the preference is that we maintain a committee of the whole structure, if that makes sense. So I basically just changed the language to fit committee meeting topics within the work session, if that makes sense. The other benefit to this is, of course, those partnership agreement mandatory dates are embedded in this agenda. So that way we will be satisfying the requirements of the state, and we will get it done within their time frame without us having to go back and schedule every meeting, if that makes sense. Are there any questions? What questions might you all have?
I have none at this time.
Okay, good deal. The other difference is that we really wanted, I know that Vice President Bowens had a question about public comments. And so we'll just keep it the way we do our work sessions and have the public comments at the beginning. Usually they're not a whole lot unless there's like something really, huge going on. And if we have to adjust, that particular committee meeting because of a lot of public comments, we can still respect the public comments and still move forward with the agenda. That makes sense. And that's all for
Awesome.
me. You all have this, the changes were very minor, and I think it goes along with what we discussed at MASB, and I'm hoping that we can support this next week. You have time to review it yourselves, and hopefully we can support it next week, get going, and if everybody votes for it, we can move forward at the end of February with our new session schedule.
All
I'll
right,
turn it over to
awesome.
you.
So I just want to state before the public, because we had our meeting last week, but of course that was a training, many people were there. But I just want to reiterate the thankfulness that I have for you taking the time to put this together so that the public is aware. She took everything that she heard from the board as it relates to our concerns regarding committee meetings and sat down on her own and strategized on how we could make adjustments, and then came in and did a critical friends protocol with us and gave us a time limit to respond only directly to her particular question so that we weren't too long-winded. So I thank you for that, and even requested a private meeting with me to talk about what she wanted presented. So those are examples of how you go above and beyond in board business and how you take a problem and create a solution. And so I appreciate you for being solution oriented And I think that one of the things that makes us strong as a board is recognizing what each other's strengths are, making sure that we complement those strengths and giving each other the autonomy to service the board in that capacity. So I would say thank you very much for your efforts, and your strengths are shining in this moment. And I just wanted to ensure that I publicly acknowledge that, because sometimes we may not always be on the same side of the table when it comes to the business of Benton Harbor Area Schools. So I wanted to publicly commend you for your efforts and tell you thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much, President Robinson. I appreciate the whole board.
All righty. So we are getting through the meeting rather swiftly today with the four of us. The ladies are holding it down. It feels real good. So we're gonna proceed with superintendent announcements and updates on the strategic plan. Dr. Butt.
Thank you, Madam President. With the strategic plan, I did eventually get the updates I needed from 21st Cent Ed so that I can incorporate them into our KPIs and metrics. So since they're going to be with us for the next 3 years in the district, now we have some more parts to our strategic plan to actually look at and measure. So those will be at the regular board meeting as I go over them, so that they'll be put together. I don't know if you want to vote on them or just listen to them when I put it together, because I know it was an ask of yours in the beginning to make sure that we're sticking with the strategic plan. So
let's just review it tomorrow, next week.
okay.
And then we can kind of see where the board is.
Okay.
And go from there. While you're mentioning 21st Century and what they add to the strategic plan, where are we as far as implementation of their services in the district? I know that they just came here, but what are we looking like as far as the timeline for that program actually being implemented within the classroom?
So I'll let Ms. Cups, she's been meeting with them on a regular basis as far as the time
Did
frame.
you hear the question? Okay.
Yep, she got it.
So we do have during the teaching and learning section, a 21st Ed update.
So we can wait till then.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right, we're gonna move it right along.
One
Go ahead.
just give a quick update on the RFP for
Driver?
driver's ed. Thank you, ma'am. My mind is full over here. The proposal is due on the 10th. We should have something to vote on the 11th.
All right, any questions from the board other than what's already been asked of Dr. Butts?
I do have a quick question.
Go ahead.
And I'm not sure if it's Dr. Butts or President Robinson. I don't know if the board is open to it. I did attend the strategic plan meetings as an audience member. And I am really in support of a lot of the information here. I was just wondering, what the process is like. Is it possible to consider, like, there's only one thing in the mission that kind of I kind of disagree with or would like to see different. It says the mission of Benton Harbor Area Schools is to educate, guide, and inspire students by developing their skills and knowledge to be globally competitive. And I'm wondering, like, if I was interested in us considering, instead of competitive, collaborative, because competitive is like, I'm better than you, let me find out what's wrong with you. And it's like that fight type of thing. But collaborative is, I'm figuring out what's the best in me, you're figuring out what's the best in you, and we're learning how to work together globally. So just wondering if it's possible to consider that, or what's the process?
It would just be what you just did, just mentioning it, having a conversation with the leadership team and Dr. Butts. I would, if it's something that we think we're really gonna do, I would ask that we bring in just maybe a quick email or just kind of talk to your administrators, because that team of people was a full room of 40 people. And so, I mean, it's one minor adjustment that I don't really think anybody would have an issue with, but if you could maybe just touch base with your team and make sure they support it at minimum. But it would just be a quick vote. It's a minor change, but a major change, and I think we could do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, So we are going to move right along to business and finance. Ms. Director Brock Carter will provide the monthly reports, and then she will go into the 2024-2025 general fund budget revision. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather, so I hope not to cough too much during this presentation. I better move this mic back. Thanks, everyone. Okay, if we wanna look at the December 2024 monthly report. Our revenues and expenses are our revenue is 56%, our expenses are at 43% based on our initial budget that we did at the beginning of the school year. So we are in a good place. Our expenses are not exceeding our revenue, so we are not depleting our fund balance. So that's very important. So I'm glad to be able to tell you guys that as of December 2024, we are in a good place. And as far as December, I just want to outline the large payments that went out. Andy Egan, we had to pay some invoices for the boiler work. I believe we are at 75% at FPE.
Oh, his force paid.
Yes. Completion.
Completion, we're 95% of FPE.
Okay.
Here at the high school, we're about 50% because the rest of it has to take place during the spring when they change over the power. There's another big power source, 2 power sources they gotta put in. They gotta put in another transformer for the generator over on side of the gym and connect the rest of the hydronic boilers to the main system, and then put in the controls that Trustee Gavin was talking about the last board meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Butts, for giving us an update on the status of the boiler work at Fairplain East and the high school. We also paid Savas $132,000. I'm going to refer to Director Kupch on what that was for.
We adopted the math curriculum through Savas, so part of it comes from that, and we have a significant amount of professional development. So both of those pieces of that math adoption are part of this.
Thank you. We also paid Gaybridge and Company for our annual audit, Black History 365 for our program. TARE for our food service, and 21st Century Ed was a large one, as we have discussed previously and had them here to do the presentation. So I just wanted to outline the larger payments that went out in December. If we look at our budget to actual summary, again, we have received 56% of the original budgeted income for 2024-2025. And our expenses is 43.5, but rounded up to 44% for the 2024-25 school year. So again, our revenue did not outweigh our expenses. And then the details behind everything is on the budget to actual detail version. And then we have all of the checks that went out in December. Again, I have highlighted all the ones that are above our superintendent's threshold, just so you guys are aware of what those were for. And then our year-to-date revenue comparison, compared to this time last year, we are down in revenue. It's to be expected because I was here December of 2023 and we drew down a big chunk of our ESSER funds at that time. So that is why December 2023's revenue is much higher than December 2024. And as far as expenses, our expenses are a little bit higher for December 2024 compared to December 2023 because of the expenditures that I spoke of on the first slide. In our statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in the fund, as you can see, our general fund balance, sinking fund balance, and all non-major fund balances are in a good place. If you look at the fund balances at the end of the period, at the end of the spreadsheet, you'll see our current fund balances with all our funds as of December 2024. And our financial statement of financial position details those same ideas in a little bit more detail. So if you have any questions or concerns, we can address them.
So I just want to say that I heard from a little birdie that you are very stingy with the district's purse and that you are ensuring that we are not wasting any resources.
Yes, I try my best to only approve things that are essential to our students' learning. And I try to be intentional with our grant funds, that we are using them for the intent that we signed up for. So if it doesn't align with our strategic plan, with our grant budget, it will be denied.
All right.
So
All right.
that's okay.
Well,
I tell everybody, feel free to email me your needs. I can't guarantee that they will be approved, but please always let the business office know what the needs are for your building so that we can make sure that they are met.
so if we come in here one day and we don't have these cans of sodas, I know who to come talk to.
Give one question.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yeah, I know that the boilers are in the high school and the Fairplain East. They will have ways to control their heating, right? Bring it up and down. How about the other buildings that didn't get new boilers? Is there any way that their heat can be controlled like that also?
So one of the things that we want to address is through the master facilities plan.
Okay,
My plan is to give an update on that at the regular board meeting as well. So right now they do not, but that's part of that plan.
okay, thank you.
Trustee Gavin.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Brock Carter, for the good news. My question is there a, like, what format are the principals? I believe we all talked about the principals of each building having their, budgets. How do they receive those budgets? Is it a spreadsheet? Is it how are they able to access their budgets for their buildings?
Yes, there are spreadsheets involved, and I often have budget meetings with our school principals as well. Some of them don't have them as often as others, but if I notice it's been a while since we have a budget meeting, I'll just send a calendar request and we go over the budget. So yes, it's in a spreadsheet format, and I make sure I involve them in the things that are in their budget. Nothing's in their budget that they don't want in their budget. I make sure that everything that's in each building budget is what the principal wants for their buildings.
And is it possible to see, for the board to see that spreadsheet?
Yeah, I can share it. It's a Google sheet, so it's shareable. And there's one for each building, so I can definitely make sure that you guys have
You only access,
Yes.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
because I don't want to get in there and mess up something, be touch the wrong button.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Thank you for making that adjustment.
And staff report F1.
You don't
Subject-
actually have to read it.
Oh, okay.
You went over everything. I want to say thank you for notating the large purchases because I normally ask you that. And I just know that we have a standard of how much we spend on average, and anytime we go over 1 million, which is kind of the normal, people get a little nervous. So thank you for pinpointing why the monthly financials are so big. But you can go forward with your revisions.
All right. So want to present a 2024-25 budget revision. We just need to align our budget with our actual expenses to date. So I want to make sure that we are in compliance and that we have everything budgeted correctly for the school year. So I just added just a general summary of what the general fund is for. It's our primary operating fund and organizational unit. So our revenues, expenses, and fund balance for the general fund is the bulk of our school finances. And here are the proposed budget revisions. Our fund balance at the beginning of the school year was 10.22 million. Our revenue estimate is 1.95 million. It don't sound right. Hold on.
How many inches? Right.
She's checking her data.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if that budget revision was attached in error. Let me just attach the correct.
Okay. Okay, so Ms. Singer, please ensure you connect with Ms. Brock Carter, and then we get the right one printed out and added to our swap them out for next meeting.
I'm sorry, that was my 25-26 budget information that we'll go over at the next meeting.
Okay.
So here is our 24-20.
Okay, so to the board, it's gonna be behind you, or if you have it on your computer, it's on your computer.
Okay, so let's get back to the summary of the general fund revisions. Our beginning fund balance was 21 million. Now that's what I'm talking about. Our revenue estimate is 34.9 million. Our expense estimate is 34.3 million, making our ending fund balance 21.6 million and a net change in the fund of 600,000. So our previous budget had us at a $4 million deficit, but with the changes and aligning our budget with our actual expenses, we will not have a deficit. We will add to our fund balance.
So wait a minute, so this is a revision that this right here, is this something we're taking vote on this next week, or?
Yes.
So you have already made this happen?
Made it happen? I mean, I created the document.
No, I mean like this, when we take the vote, right?
Uh-huh.
What you are telling us right now, is this including any potential HR updates or things of that nature? Or is this like matter of fact where we are right now, according to work you've done, we won't have a gap?
That's correct. It is matter of fact, as of now, we will not have a deficit.
Madam President, we've also addressed some of the concerns that were brought up in some prior meetings. So we've made sure that we journaled correctly. Some of the journal entries we found were incorrect. We've journaled correctly. The revisions have been made, and we've ensured that all the directions we've been given by the board and yourself, Madam President, to make sure we've been judicious with our funds and we have. So with Ms. Bob Carter's work, we've made that happen.
I don't even know what to say. I'm shell shook. Cause I don't know how you get in there and figure it out to get $4 million. So you have to give me some time. I'll have more of a statement for you next week.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine, Madam President. And on the next slide, I showed what our budget was originally and what the revisions would be. So you can see the differences in the different line items on where we saved money, moved money. You know, I tried to, the main thing was our revenue that was not stated correctly in our original budget. Our total expenses have not changed. The total expenses that we had budgeted for the school year are the same, but our revenue was not stated correctly in our original budget. So that is the main reason why the $4 million deficit is no longer.
And you were not the person that developed the original budget, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but you went in there and you cleaned it up.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? I'm a little shook. Trustee Gibb.
Just have a quick question. This is good news. When you calculate the expenses, so for example, if we have vacancies, do we still calculate that as, like, is that expense still calculated in there, even though we may not have filled the position, there's still dollars set aside to fill that position at a later time? Like, if we fill that vacancy, will it take away from that 600,000, or is
No,
it's
ma'am.
calculated in the
It's
expenses?
calculated in there already. All of the vacancies that could potentially be filled are already included in our expense calculation.
Okay, perfect. So if we fill all those vacancies with human beings,
We
this will
still
not
good.
hurt that bottom line.
That's correct.
Thank you for making that plain. Appreciate you.
Okay, and then one last question or just a notation for the public. This is just a mid-year budget review. You will come back before the end before June 30th. We'll take the vote on what the actual finalized budget will be.
Correct.
Correct.
On my staff report, I explained that this is a mid-year budget revision. Let me get my exact verbiage. A mid-year budget revision for the general fund budget has been prepared. This revision includes updated revenue projections, updated staffing costs, and updated grant data. Another budget revision will be presented for the board approval in June as the 2024-2025 fiscal year nears its end. Depending on the magnitude of revenue and/or expenditure changes during the next 2 to 3 months, there may be a spring budget revision, but that is tentative at this time.
Understood. Trustee Gavin?
Question. Thank you. I know that we've been talking about driver's education since last year or right before. And I know that a vote will be coming up soon. Is driver's education budgeted in here already, or is that something that will have to be added?
It is already in our budget.
Okay, perfect. So the full expense of driver's education is already in there.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Trustee Doyle?
I just have to give you your kudos. I knew you before you started here, and I knew you was about that money and you was gonna get it together. And I'm just really grateful and want to give you your kudos today. I appreciate the hard work. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Our entire team worked together on the budget revisions to make sure all our departments were addressed, all of our building needs were addressed. So I want to thank our team as well for helping me, and we all worked hard in order to get this, not only this budget revision, but also our 25-26 budget as well we worked on. So thank you, guys.
Trustee Rocket Martin?
I'd like to thank you also, and I look forward to working with your team on how other ways we can save money. We can
Thank you.
put more revenue in our coffers.
Talking my language, Ms. Rocket Martin.
I think the best way to say is that that nearly brings me to tears because I've been here since we were in a negative balance. And so to have a cushion and then someone say, well, we're gonna be 4 million digging into our savings, essentially, it makes me nervous, and because I don't want to see the board go back to where it was when I got here under my watch. So I thank you. And I remember saying, I don't know what we have to do, Angela, but if you could please figure out how to save that switch up, get that 4 million. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great job. Great job to everyone because they're working with what they have to do and you're doing your part. And I know it all goes together. So thank you, Dr. Buss, for your leadership. And thank you, Director Brightcard.
Thank you.
And I hope you feel better soon.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm just being sick. I don't have time. So
Yeah.
I want to step away after we're done and try and give me some medicine so I could be ready for tomorrow morning and give me some rest tonight. So after I present my reports, I'll be exiting the meeting only because I'm under the weather.
Well, thank you. You've done enough.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments or questions? We really could have, okay, let's proceed. That's a good, that was enough to adjourn. But we want to give honor and respect to all of our departments. So I am excited to hear our student support services update from Director Nichols. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening. Okay, student support. So first, I want to say that count day, our second count day is right around the corner. It's on the 12th, February 12th, and we're going to have our incentives in our buildings. Students will be able to, who attend school that day, have their name placed in a raffle drawing to potentially win an iPad. So all that information will be going out. Each of the buildings have already been informed of that. So look for more of that information to be put out. Next is our early registration. I'm pretty sure some of you got that phone call today.
Yes.
So we have started our early registration so we can get a handle on that early. So that have started and it's open. So you can go on the website and enroll your student. The next up is our student advisory. So we have started a student advisory in each of our buildings. So from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. And with this advisory, myself and Dr. Butts will be going to the buildings and having sort of, I want to say, scholar voices. They'll be able to give feedback, what's happening in their building, giving us some suggestions, just really letting us know what we can do to support them and help their education. And next is in your packet, I did provide family engagement data that we have. So we've had a lot of events that have taken place in our district. And I just wanted to give you guys some feedback on how many parents and family have been participating and being involved in each of those buildings. And so with that being said, families, please come out. Each of our buildings are doing their events this month. And it's on the website. Each building have on their website their events. Next is our community and schools mid-year update. I really wanted to provide you all this information so you can see the partnerships that we have with some of our I want to call them vendors in our district. We have 4 buildings, Martin Luther King Jr. report. If you can see at that building, I think that's the first one that's on your packet. If you can see that 270 units were distributed, and what that is, that could have been school supplies, any hygiene supplies, any personal needs was provided at that building for the first semester. And then there's 6 students on their caseload that they are doing more of the tier 2 and tier 3 work with. And And then there is tier one support hours. So those hours is how many, that could be just supporting the buildings with tier one supports, maybe working with the PBIS with our students. And then the 328 individual tier one supports provided. Again, that could be the number of contacts that they've had with those students. And then the last category, 10 support categories, that is, if you can see the chart, I should have provided that with you, which I will definitely provide that chart to you next week. Make sure we do it at the regular board meeting. Also, the basic needs resources. So if you can see at MLK, a total of $4,699. That's the amount that was for the 270 basic needs that was provided to students at that building. And then they included a highlight is on the back of that page from that building. Just something that you can read, some of the work that they've been doing to support that building. And each of them are the same. So Fairplain East, the same, but it's different, 339 supports provided, and that total to the $2,924. In this building, there's 20 students on their caseload. So they are providing more of the tier 2, tier 3 with these individual students. And then again, they have the highlight on the back of their page. And on Fairplain East, if you can see down at the bottom, the top supports in that building. So the whole student, of course, the behavior interventions, family engagement, and then group supports, enrichment and motivation, and individualized support was behavioral interventions. Okay. At Fairplain Middle School, there's 343 units that was provided, which totaled $4,482. At this time, they didn't have any students on their case because that middle school SSC, which is their student support CIS person, was just hired. So when these data came out, they had just got hired, just so you are aware of that. And then last, Benton Harbor High School, 493 units, which totaled $8,135.99. And they have 33 students that they're, 13 students on their caseload. And again, at the bottom, the top 3 supports are behavior interventions and professional mental health. And then on the last page, they have their highlights. Okay. Moving along, just to give an update on our peer mediation update. I do know at Fairplain Middle School, we're going to work a few things out with them because there has been 0 there at that building, but we'll be working with them to provide some supports to get that up and running and started to support our students there. And then at the high school, we still are at 6 mediations. Okay. The next area is our family perception surveys. They have been completed. We have reached out to the winners of our $25 gift cards for each building. And they will be already scheduled to come pick those up on Friday. And I should have some pictures with them and the building principals who did the raffle drawing for those names. And with that also being said, our family perception survey results, I wanted to share this with you all. Just a little feedback from what our parents are saying, our families are saying about how they feel about their child's education. And I really wanted to highlight a few things. I wanted to include it because our parents had included some statements in the back. So for questions for questions 11 and 12, I included all of their responses to that. So we can get a feel, you all can get a feel of what exactly is going on in our buildings and what our families are saying. Okay, that concludes my update.
Any initial questions from the board? Trustee Gavin,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Director Nichols. Can you hear me okay?
Now we
can
can.
get some more.
Yes.
Okay, I'll work on that. I love the graphs, and thank you for answering the question about why Fairplain Middle School has nobody on the caseload yet. I was definitely gonna ask that one. My question about the family perception survey, I think that this is really helpful to have. And is there one for the high school? I noticed that this is K through preschool through sixth grade. Was were the high school parents given a
Yeah, it
survey?
was for all. It was for all of our buildings. If you notice, it said 1/2 2. It says page 1 of 2. So you don't have that whole sheet, but I will have, when I present it, I will present it on, so you'll be able to see all of them on the screen.
You said this actually is
It's all of our
Pre-
buildings.
preschool through 12th grade?
Yes.
And I'm just not seeing it.
It was cut off. So if you see where the arrow is pointing down, so it
Got
says
you.
so it's all of the buildings there. Yes.
Got you. Okay, thank you. My other it's just a suggestion, not, no pressure or anything, but I did notice that the registration is online. There's like a visual, like a graphic for for parents to register early online on the BHAS page.
Yes, for
Mhm.
early enrollment, yes.
Yep, and I'm just throwing it in there. It might be helpful to make that a link. Like, are parents able to register online, or is it
Yeah.
just?
Yes,
Okay,
there's a link on the website, yes.
okay. So I'm not seeing it as a link that clicks to an application, unless I'm missing something. So it
It's-
might be helpful.
Let me see. So it's normally in the menu bar. So if you go, if you I'm on my page, can you see me on the website on my computer here? I'm sorry. Maybe if you can show it on the screen. So if it's right here, early enrollment, where you would click. Do you see that?
Right.
Okay, yes. So if they click there, and then it'll say enrollment packet, and it'll have it here, 2025, 2026.
I'm wondering if it's possible to, and I know this is a weeds question, I already know y'all, but I'm just throwing it out there. I'm wondering if it's possible on the actual homepage, right? Where it says enroll your child online. I'm wondering if that might be a technology question, if it's possible for them to make that a link for people to click right there and register online, just to increase the.
Yes, I hear what you're saying.
That's more of a
That is-
technology thing. It's not really but you brought me to it, so I appreciate that. No, thank you for that. Are there any updates regarding peer mediation?
Peer mediation?
Mhm.
Didn't you speak to
I
it?
just spoke to peer mediation.
You did.
Okay, say it again.
Yeah,
She
no, you
did.
just said that, thank you for answering the Fairplain Middle, why there was no peer mediation.
No, I thought that was about the community.
No case, okay. So for peer mediation, that's okay, I'll do it again. Yes, no,
Apologize.
0 at Fairplain Middle and 6 at the high school.
Okay, so I know I'm wondering, I know that we talked about it before, and I'm wondering what supports do you think are needed at the middle school in order for the contact person to kind of enhance the offerings there?
So what I would probably do is send and defer to the building principal. And then they can respond and be able to give me that suggestion.
So would that go through you? Would that go through Dr. Butts? Just wondering who
At this
would
time, it'll be Dr. Butts.
You said that would go through Dr. Butts?
Yes.
Okay, so what that would look like is possibly if Dr. Butts reaching out to the principal to see if they have the supports they need to get that program going?
Yes, ma'am. So Ms. Cups has a standing meeting with the principals, and I'll come in and ask them what their needs are. So like today, we met with Director Roseberg to make sure we went over all of his needs for his building. So what we're trying to do is set up meetings for all of the principals at this midterm point to make sure to see where they are and what their needs are.
Okay, thank you. So I'd be very interested in knowing like what are their goals? Like whoever's leading that program, what are their goals for that program? And then how are they working towards those goals in developing the peer mediators and utilizing them to just improve the culture and climate in the building as leaders? Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to say thank you for your updates and presentations provided today. I like how easily readable and understandable everything is. I like your graphics always. I'm really thankful that you gave us the open-ended responses to the survey question because it helps us to kind of know exactly where our parents are. The question that I have that just came to me though is how do we operationalize the feedback that we get from parents? Like how is this actually used and who internally is it shared with and then what comes next? Because I don't think that's ever, we always say send a survey out. It's clear for like a master's plan and things like that, but like this type of things, when they give us the feedback, how is it being operationalized?
So thank you, Madam President. What we do is in cabinet, we take these and we, as like today, Ms. Nichols shared those out. So what we do is as we're planning on budget, as we're planning on academics, as we're planning each part of every aspect of the school district, we take these into consideration. So one of the things we looked at today was how do you feel about your school or is it inviting or et cetera? So what we do is then we come up with the different campaigns. So one of the questions that kind of struck a chord is if your child misses school, do you think it has an effect on your child? So that makes us push out even more on the attendance campaign and show the difference that it makes when your child does come to school. So we actually take these recommendations and try to put them into actionable actions so that we can see the results and change those results. So if you're not having a good experience coming into any of the schools, we take a look at that and try to figure out, okay, what is it that we can do? Is it more training we need for the staff? Or what changes do we need to make so that the schools are inviting when parents come in? So we take this information and we turn it into actionable items.
Okay, Secretary Triplett, and did we note Secretary Triplett's arrival when he came? Okay, okay, so he arrived at, yep, it was about yep. So we want to make sure we notate for the minutes and for the record that Secretary Triplett arrived at the meeting at 7:07 PM. Secretary Triplett, you have the floor.
Again, thank you. I only caught a little bit of the report. I am very concerned, to say the least, that meeting after meeting, we come here and with the conflict resolution and all of the different things that we have in place, that is a part of the responsibilities that we said we would do in our partnership agreement. And so it's concerning that there is no data for since this started. I just don't understand why this has not been addressed to the level, because when you talk about conflict resolution and those types of things, it's more than just fights and arguments. There's some work, some preventative work on the front end. There's loads and loads of things that need to be done. And so when you hear about incidences or incidents at our school, I just don't understand why that's not happening. And I think that needs to be a priority to whomever is responsible for that, because it's just like people are being paid, and I don't want to assume anything that they don't know how it looks or what it is that they're supposed to be doing, how that looks in the school. What do they do on a regular basis and every day in those schools? What is their responsibility? Are they being pulled from what they were hired to do other things? So we need, for me, when I come to this table, it's not just negative reports. We should hear positive things, because that's the whole purpose for the initiative. And so, and with the surveys and what have you, I've been constantly asking, what is the role of administration as it relates to? It's not you all's responsibility. We have 3 or 4 administrators at this high school. And why aren't they taking the lead on this? When you talk about the surveys and what have you, really in actuality, how many surveys do we actually get? Is this is this enough data for us to really honestly be making the proper decisions? So I do want to put that out there in this work session, that those are things that I will be addressing, because I've been asking for 3 months. What is the role of the administrators in Ben Harbor area schools? Where are they at the table, and what are they doing on a daily basis? Because these things are individual building responsibilities, not central administration responsibility. And I'm keep hearing the same thing over and over and over and over again to no avail. So I'm not sure who's actually supervising the principal and the assistant principals in the buildings and what have you, but this is something that they should be on top of on a regular basis. And it is very concerning, and I want that on the record. But thank you so much. As President Robinson said, your information is very easy to read. It's very easy to understand, and it's very easy to know what people are and are not doing. So thank you so very much.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, Ms. Nichols, as it relates to the peer mediation, we're limited by the number count because, well, not saying it's the reason, but the student has to agree to do it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so it's not necessarily that, it may not be that we're not attempting to use peer mediation, but if the children, are we offering peer mediation as a solution to every child, or with every incident where there is disagreements and things of that nature? Is peer mediation being offered each time?
So that I do not
Okay,
know.
so
that
that's
is a
probably the gap we
building-
need to figure out.
Yes.
And if you could check into that, because I guess what my request would be, and this is how we'll know really where we are, when you give us the update on peer mediations and you give us the number counts, give us the total of how many were rejected. Because if it's 10 fights in the building within the last month, and then you tell us there's been no updates, but maybe only 2 of the 10 were actually offered. And I'm not saying that's the case, but I just want you to have your checks and balance to know, so we understand what that process is looking like. Do we have documentation that the peer mediation has been rejected by the student? How many students have rejected it? Are we getting feedback from the students as to why they don't want to do it? Maybe it's something we can adjust. And then that way we'll have a better picture as it relates to our data as to how effective our efforts are being.
Madam President. Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that too, because for us to have a clear understanding of what peer mediation is, we have students that may be suspended from school. One of the requirements for them to re-enter would be through peer mediation. The report does not have to just be about incidents. What are we doing who's training the peer mediator? How many peer mediators do we have at each one of these buildings? Or do we have any? And what are they doing with the peer mediator? So it's not just, I don't think, just to have a clear understanding of what the whole total peer mediation program is about. Because peer mediation is also preventative and it's proactive in many of its aspects. So, okay, well, it's not even about the fights or anything. Not that I've heard anything that there's just loads and loads of fights. But I mean, if we were to ask the principals in their schools, how many peer mediators do you have? How many trainings have the peer mediators had? How are you using these funds and this money? And then what type of training are the people who are quote unquote leading the peer mediation work? What are we doing for them?
Well, I presented the Oakland Mediation Center. They came and did the trained the trainers for 2 staff at the high school to be trained the trainers, and they're the 2. And then they trained also 2 at Fairplain Middle. And then also within that training, they had an implementation team training for both buildings. So that team would then be doing that work to implement peer mediation in the building. So that did take place.
Thank you so very much for that information.
Okay, so next up, thank you so much, Director Nichols. Appreciate your presentation this evening. Up next, we have teaching and learning. And so we have a teaching and learning update. I pass the floor to Director Kupsch.
I think we should start with our historic Black college and university tour presentation from Mr. Jennings and Ms. Gunter.
I have no objection.
Thank you.
And thank you all for being patient. You didn't wait this long at all today.
Just had to plug my computer up. It got a little impatient. So, yeah. Ms. Singer, you have did we send anything to you? Okay. As you all know, we annually go on this trip for our students, being able to provide them the opportunities to get an experience that they otherwise would not receive. It's funny because we talk about us being here in Benton Harbor. This is the only inner city in Berrien County and pretty much within a 30-mile radius. So we are the only ones that we really get to see Black people predominantly. And I'm talking about our students. And my experience, honestly speaking, before I even get into this, and this is all kind of freestyle, honestly. I didn't know if I was being too Black sometimes growing up. I didn't know what was the wrong Black or what was the too loud Black because of the people around you, because you're St. Joe, you're Lakeshore, you're Berrien, and everyone looks at you because you're doing this, or because you dress like that, or because you walk like that, because you talk like that. So it's almost like there's maybe something wrong with what I'm doing. So I played baseball at KVCC, some of you know, many of you know, transferred to Lemoyne-on College. I said, wow, we can do this? We can say this? We can move like this? And it's all right? And then when we go and play the rival teams, they can do it too, and then they do it a little better. And now they're doing it a little more and a little louder. And it's just such a vibrant and unifying feeling to know that it was all right to be me. It was all right to talk like this. It was all right to walk like this. It was all right to see other people doing it. And I got 3 degrees. They're all from PWIs, and I hang them proudly from Western Michigan University and KVCC. But I wish my entire educational experience had come from an HBCU, honestly speaking. Again, not to take anything from my experiences at the PWIs, they just were not HBCUs in no stretch of the imagination. I believe we should have a document showing all of our recent attendees of HBCUs, people who attended our Black College Tour. I have 4 people we added from the class of 2024 who are currently attending Texas Southern, Savannah State, Southern University, and Morgan State. And then we have those, you guys have that in front of you? That document, that listing of all of the people who are currently attending HBCUs as well as those from past years? Maybe in the back. So I probably started this presentation in reverse. So I apologize. But we've made an impact going on this trip to a lot of our young people who get to see the step shows and who get to see all of the people who are a part of the faculty committing to every individual. And that was what my experience taught me as an HBCU student, that everyone in the building was committed to me being successful. Every teacher, even your peers, even those who were just part of the cafeteria or part of the security, they all held you accountable. They all wanted to see the best out of you. They always wrapped their arms around you on the campus and said, let's get to class or let's get to the dorms because you know it's curfew. We don't want to catch you out here. So it's all those things that occurred that I didn't experience at PWIs. So having said that, we do have a PowerPoint. I won't go through all the slides. We've done that. I think this entire board has seen our slides, but I will speak to them. What do I need to do? Do I need to connect to this? Or do we have it here?
We have a copy of it.
Okay, cool. Works even better. But we do also have some audio that I'm going to need for everyone to be able to hear. So I think some form of connection probably is imperative.
Can you share with Ms. Singer?
Yes. Okay. So in the meantime, I will say there are times when we have been on this tour where students have confessed to us about their expectations and their understanding regarding what they thought about college compared to what they learned about college after going on this tour. There have been students, I saw in your eyes, Dr. Bucks, when I said confess, you probably was looking for something that you weren't ready for. But no, actual positive confessions. So it was, hey, I didn't even plan on going to college because my assumption was it's just this hard work that I was worried about. And I didn't know that this culture, this social, this all these other things that is going to bring out of me, these going to strengthen these areas of who I am and these people who support who I am. I didn't know that this was a part of it. So I know of people who are on that list who never had intentions on higher education until they went on the Black College Tour. All right, so what we have here, if you don't mind playing that audio, Ms. Singer, and this is just a situation where we got one of the students there. You can see her with the red on against the board back there. She is a student at one of the HBCUs presenting to all of our kids. I know we can't hear it. Is it possible to turn it up though? Because there is a section that I will want us to be able to listen to. At any rate, I'm always ready to continue either way. So if we go to the next slide, Miss Singer, we have we can talk about some of the benefits that that our young people get from this experience. and you get your real world learning and the things that you see right there, just inspiring students to want to do better and wanting to do more. That's a picture of us at, I think that's at Texas Southern last year. And Ms. Marquette has joined us as well several times and been a huge part of what it is that we do on this trip in terms of supervision and just seeing that everyone is aligned according to what it is that we want to provide. So if we go to the next slide, these are the institutions that we anticipate visiting this coming April. So we try to pick a different region every year so that we're not repeating it. We're giving our students an opportunity to just think once again. So our closest HBCU is actually Lewis School of Business in Detroit. And it's a small one, a very small one. But that's a 3-hour drive. The next closest is Central State in Ohio. That's about a 5-hour. So this is a trip that our kids, there's nothing closer for them to gain an HBCU experience. Without this trip, 99% of them will not have an HBCU experience. And that's what the reality is, and that's what the truth is. I personally would not have had an HBCU experience had it not been for I played baseball and I had a friend who was going to the school. Give you a real quick story and we'll kind of wrap this up. But again, I finished playing ball 2 years at KVCC. I don't know where I'm going to transfer to. I was pretty much sold on going to Saginaw Valley State. I had one of my best friends, Earl Fisher, many of you are familiar with, who was on a visit at Lemoyne-on College in Memphis for basketball, and he ran into the baseball coach. The baseball coach asked him, are there any baseball players in Benton Harbor, Michigan? And Earl gave him my phone number. And the rest is pretty much history. I went there and played baseball in 1999, 2000, and it was the greatest experience I had in any college. I went to 4 schools, but it was the greatest experience I had in college. And it taught me so much about culture, taught me so much about Black outside of Benton Harbor. It taught me so much about how the unity and how connected we all were. Right now, I still have a group chat. This will be my 25th reunion of winning our conference. So I'm in charge of putting that together for our baseball team in Memphis. So I'm excited about that as well. So aside from that, I really don't have anything else other than hopefully we get the support of the board to do this again. Oh, did we get the sound working? Okay, because without the sound, we won't get a chance to check out these 2 testimonials. But we do have 4 videos that I'll maybe send to you guys. I'll just send it to all of the board members.
Yeah, you can just send them to us. That's great.
Yep, I'll send it to you and you'll get a chance to hear from students. Okay, so you'll hear from students who attended the Black College Tour, who currently attend HBCUs, who want to make the connection for how this experience was valuable for them in their decision-making process.
All right, any questions from the board at this time?
Yes, Madam President, I always think that the Black College Tour is a critical piece, and a very, very important piece as it relates to our students and being exposed. I looked at the list of colleges and I was just trying to follow through. With all the colleges that you listed in the slideshow is where they will they will go to all of those campuses.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess I must have missed something. I need to look through it again because I don't see them on specific days. All of the colleges, universities just up there.
So what do we have? How many do we have? I'm sorry. Because what we do is we kind of set out, okay, right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we generally will, there'll be a day that we'll commit to going to 2 of the schools or 3 of the schools, depending on how far they are apart. We'll add excursions in there where we may go to a plantation or we may go to a museum, something that is Black history connected. And so I'm sorry, I didn't even mention that in the presentation, but that's not, the only thing we do is not just visit the schools, but we do a lot more that is going to connect culture with students, and the whole experience is going to be ultimately laid out for them.
So, I see here, really, in actuality, they really only have 2 days on college campuses. Because, from Friday to Sunday, I know they go to a game here. Is there any more details that you specifically that can be given when they are at the, cause I just see, on Monday and Tuesday. And then I see on Wednesday, then they leave out Wednesday evening. So they're actually on campuses only for 2 days.
Free.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you got 3.
Actually, Saturday, North Carolina Central University
Okay.
versus Norfolk State University, the game.
Yeah.
So that would be 4 actually on campus. We won't be able to,
actually being on the campus.
right?
So when if I look in here, what does the tour entail on the campus? What I see that it's like it's 2 hours at North Carolina A&T University. So the travel time from Shaw, North Carolina A&T University. What in that 2 hours? What happens?
So depending on the school, but generally they have a tour guide, and they will have everything mapped out for us in terms of what they're going to do. There are times where we may go to the bookstore, then drop in the library, then we may go and actually sit during the class, depending on how big the lecture hall may be. If we don't sit in the class, we get a chance to see grad assistants who can kind of walk us through what's going on in that class, as well as what their duties are. Then we run across the athletic fields or the athletic coaches, get a chance to meet with them because we usually have athletes on this trip with us. So now you can talk about eligibility, you can talk about things you do in the off season, so you can try to get prepared for an opportunity. So there's a huge number of things we do that takes up all that time, because you get a lot of questions too from the students that are with us. So.
And we always talk to the finance directors, always talk to our kids. The admissions department, they always talk to our kids. They let them know what their grade point averages need to be, how much money is available for them, how they can get those scholarships, how they can come during the summer and work and get paid. They let them know all of the information they need to know to be a successful college student, what supports, what tutoring supports they have in place, the rules and regulations of the university. Can you bring a car in your freshman year? Are you allowed to do this, do that, whatever the rules, to get a clear understanding of what college life is like. We visit the dorms. We talk to the students in the dorms. They take us through their dorms. They get a chance to see exactly where they're going to live and if they want to live there or whatever. But they get a sense of college life.
You got that from a chaperone who has been on this trip a number of times. So thank you very much for chiming in and providing that. That's definitely, I think we just gave you about 2 hours right there.
Yeah, but I'm not concerned about, but like I said, I don't see. I just want to make sure that when they go, that the whole focus is that the majority of the focus is on things that they need as it relates to preparation for school. The contact person, when do they give you all specific details about what our kids will be learning from there? So when you guys get ready to finalize, because this is a skeleton of what you all are doing, when will you all, each individual, will they give you exactly what our kids will be doing and what will be provided at each university for our kids? And do we give them that information?
Generally, we don't receive that they will tell us when we can visit, like what time is going to be appropriate to show up. And then they'll say, meet with X person, and they will give you the guide. So they really usually don't map out a step-by-step process. in terms of what we do when we do arrive to campus. But what I can do is ask some questions and see if some schools may be willing to provide that.
And we usually bring back packets, the applications where to share with the counselors here, so that there are other students that want to go to HBCU schools, they can go. We've had kids also with us who have completed applications while they're there. You know,
And got
and
accepted
been accepted.
right there.
Right there on the spot.
Mhm.
You know, they'll tell them, if you can do this, you can. And the money is like flowing like water.
Mhm.
That's what I want our kids to understand. You can go to college. You don't have to be the brightest light bulb or, you know, the most popular student. There's an opportunity for every student to go to college if he desires to go.
Okay, so I just have a quick question for you. Have we ever had this as detailed of an itinerary before? I don't know that. Is this standard? Is you give it to me each time? I don't know why it looks like you did more. Did more for us than you would normally. No, not where you're going. I'm saying, do you give it to us? You've given it to us before? And it's always on the chart like this? Thank you for giving me this is what I was gonna say, because it looks like something fresh and new. I don't know if it's structured different, but I appreciate being able to have an idea of what their actual experience is gonna look like down to each day of what they're doing. And maybe you have, it is normally a thick packet, but I've never actually seen it spelled out quite as defined. So thank you for that. And I think we might have had one other question, Trustee Gavin.
More of a comment, you're with students 24 hours, right? And so just appreciation, like, thank you for taking the time to invest the gift of your presence and planning this for them and being so consistent with it every year. It's really making a difference. Like, I remember when I went to college to a HBCU, and in the cafeteria, everybody was doing their homework. Like, they were eating, they were having a good time, but they were very serious about their education. And for me to be able to see that outside of my home environment, it really inspired me, like, to do more. And so for you to have that love for the children, to spend that time, an investment of time, and it's usually on a break, I think. Is it on a break? It's not a break. Okay. Okay, to do that, I'm really grateful for that. The other thing I noticed is that the fee is about, what I'm seeing here is $350. And I'm just wondering, per student, and I'm wondering, this kind of takes me right back to the idea of us possibly needing a foundation, right, of our own for Benton Harbor area schools. I believe that there are so many graduates of HBCUs and even graduates of PWIs who, if they saw a program like this, they would want to donate to a foundation just to help offset that cost. So just throwing that out there again, and then wondering if possibly in the future, maybe the Education Foundation, Benton Harbor Education Foundation, will consider offsetting it, because they definitely learn a lot. They're inspired by this experience, and they grow when they go on these college tours. So just a thought out there, and just, tremendous gratitude for your service, and Trustee Rockett for
And
chaperoning.
I think just one last comment. I think one of the.
So I just want to remind, I know we want to make sure we get back to our one comment per trustee, because we were doing very well and we got through about 7 or 8 action items in the first hour of the meeting, and we are within an hour on only 2 items. So I have to get you guys back on one comment per trustee per topic, because we got to stay on track. So is there any questions or comments from anyone Trustee Doyle?
Looking at this application here, and I'm seeing that the due date for the deposit was January the 10th.
That may have been last year, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, there's all the questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Jennings and Ms. Gunter, for your efforts and your work.
No problem. Thank you.
Right. So we're gonna continue, Director Clubs, the teaching and learning update.
Just some quick updates. We have a calendar committee to begin the conversation about next year's district school calendar. There is a parent and staff survey that will be going out tomorrow. There's also summer school planning in the process and a survey question on that calendar survey in regards to that for parents as well. We are planning our summer professional development to support our teachers and administrators as we plan for next school year. Our buildings are completing their NWA and AIMSweb mid-year testing. I had wanted to share data today, but we're not quite finished with the slowdown we had from the weather. But we have most of our elementary is completed, 97 to 100% completed. It's the high school that's a little more difficult to complete that. And we are working with our district testing coordinator, Miss Mitzi Jones, to make sure that every building is honing in their building level testing plan in preparation for April. And there is a group of 9 going to the MDE testing conference next week. In addition, we have a 21st Cent Ed update that is linked on the agenda, and I believe you have a printed copy also. If not, it is in the agenda. I did ask 21st Cent Ed to provide a monthly update for the Board of Education. And so this is a 5-page update for everything that has occurred in our planning process so far. Just a couple things to draw your attention to on the second page at the top. It's referencing the project-based learning as an instructional approach. There's some information there, but it's also linked to some contemporary studies regarding project-based learning. We also have a chart there with 3 different strategies for using the instructional coaching with the pedagogy AI. The AI content that's created through pedagogy is delineated there at the bottom of the page. On the 4th page and 5th page, it shows the 3 different phases for implementing 21st Cent Ed here in Benton Harbor area schools. First, in January, we've already completed the in-person impact visit. We had culture walks through all of the buildings and an analysis of instructional needs. We had in-person sessions with the 21st Cent Ed team and our technology team. Another session with our building administrators, and a 3rd session with our instructional facilitators, and we included communities and schools in that as well. They do have a STEM SEL piece to the program, so we wanted to include communities and schools so that we are all working together and not layering on top of each other. In March, we will have them back for a full day with a professional development workshop with our entire staff. Then in June, there will be a intense workshop for 2 days, which will be the beginning of a 7-session training that will certify that leadership team of central office administration, building administration, instructional facilitators, and key teachers in that project-based learning and STEM focus. They will receive their certification through Howard University for that work. It will be completed by the end of next summer, so it will be an ongoing process, but it is a train the trainer type of program. So we are investing in those individuals so that they can then reinvest that knowledge and expertise back into our staff.
In August, we'll have a full day of professional development with our entire staff. I should mention that in June, part of what they're doing is putting together a library of intervention materials that can be used by all teachers at all grade levels through that 21st Cent Ed portal that with the AI pedagogy that they demonstrated. Then we have the instructional coaching phase 2, and that's listed there for you through 2025 and 26 school year, and then through to get us started into 2026 and 2027. We've had sustainability conversations along with this. So as you can see, there's been a pretty intentional start to this, and the work continues. All right, any questions from the board regarding the updates provided? Trustee Gavin and then Secretary Triplett.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Kupch, for this very detailed document. I appreciate how they customize it with our Tiger graduates embedded throughout the presentation. And I appreciate that there are phases outlined, and that is very intentional in how they're rolling it out. My question, what came up for me as you were presenting, I noticed that there's a meeting with the CTE director as well, so I appreciate that. This emphasis on careers and technical education. You may or may not be prepared to answer this, so if you prefer to think about it and share at the next meeting, that's fine. But what I was thinking about is there a way to marry all of these experiences and projects that the students are doing with this platform? Is there a way to marry it with Zillow? Like, does Zillow kind of help them create some type of portfolio or career pathway? And are they able to capture all of their successes with this project-based experience and add it to their Zillow portfolio?
So the answer to that is yes and more. Dr. JT and I have already had a couple different conversations regarding the Zello outline as well as the EDP expectations through MDE. And the goal is to create an environment where we better utilize Zello, but at the same time amp it up by what we're able to do here with the 21st Cent Ed platform. And we will be using this AI pedagogy tool to develop lessons that are better incorporated into our core content areas. So instead of, let's say, using Tiger Time to dabble in Zello, instead we will intentionally do career research in English class and maybe math related forecasting for your future salary in math class, things like that. So we're bringing it all together.
Thank you. It seems like your enthusiasm has even grown since they've been here. I don't know if I'm hearing it wrong, but it sounds like you're excited about.
So I can say that when they were here in person and we, just like they did with you guys to kind of demo what that AI tool would be, they used me and I gave them an objective from a class that I taught many, many times. And when the content came up for the modules for the students, there were activities that I actually did with my students in class. So that to me was all the validation that I needed, that 16 years in the classroom is reflected in what's coming through that. And Dr. Butts could tell you I give too many ideas all at one time. So the amount of ideas that I had all at once to just explode this with all of our teachers, you're right. I'm very, very excited and
absolutely. Thank you so much. It's good to hear that enthusiasm, and I'm hoping that, I believe our teachers are going to see it as well, and the students and parents are going to be really excited. Thank you.
Secretary Triplett.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to ask you a basic question, but you just answered it. You know, how do you feel about it? What's your thoughts being in the role that you set in as it relates to academic and teaching and learning? You know, how did you feel about it? So I think you can give me how you feel about it. Then I have just one more.
So I asked Dr. JT and his team that when we have this professional development day in March, if it could be more of a learn and see and then a do, so that a lot of times in professional development and education, it's just cannonball into the deep end and let's learn how to do this and figure it out on the fly. And I don't want it to be that way. So what I asked for him to do was put our teachers more of into a student role so that they could experience it from the student side to see what capabilities it has from their students' perspective, which then they can turn that around to the other direction and be able to better utilize the platform and all of the resources that come along with it.
So since they've been here, how many times have they been here since we made that decision to do that? How many times have they been in Benton Harbor?
I believe they've been here 3 days.
So have our teachers met them in all buildings? Have you guys done anything with them, with our teachers?
The teachers have met them only through those cultural walks, and the IFs and the building administrators had actual meetings with them the last time that they were here. And then on March 28th will be the opportunity for the teachers to get their hands on it and really begin that experience that the rest of us have started to have already.
And if I may jump in right there, Secretary Triplett. So what the rollout was to make sure that we put the IFs in the student position first. So when they start helping the teachers, they'll know exactly what the teachers were going through. So the first lesson that they had was a physics lesson that I gave them to make sure that they understand it. So we took them through physics first.
Right.
Give them a little challenge.
I guess my thought is, I think that I'm going to respect your decisions and your approaches that you've chosen to use, but I think that the teachers that we have here, our teachers, as much contact as they can possibly have with this company. So to really, 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 really be in there is for them. So they can become the masters, you know, not the IFs, not saying that's all fine, but I'm talking about our teachers. And that was the whole purpose for us. We looked at it. You know, they've been on the ground and they haven't been in contact with our teachers. You know, I think we want our teachers to be the ones to do it and know what it is they're doing as soon as possible, because it is powerful. It is exceptional. And we want our teachers certified, not this level. Y'all got to do it. You got to lead it, but we need our teachers in there immediately.
And I absolutely agree. That's why we're bringing them in March so that we can get started before the school year is over. And then that professional development that comes this summer, the first week after school is out. And the goal is we can have up to 50 people that are certified. So our goal is to maximize that and offer this opportunity to everyone that wants it. Not to limit it to, you know, one grade level teacher or something like that. I specifically asked how many can be included in that certification, and 50 is the answer. So I do agree with you that it should be in the hands of the teachers, and we should maximize their exposure and their training to grow their capacity in this incredible tool. Trustee Rockett Martin.
Is this something you might try in summer school? Pilot it in the summer school just to see how it works. It may not be every class, but for some teachers that might want to, experiment and pilot it, I think that would be an excellent opportunity to see it in the action. and then in the fall, they a little bit more secure with it to work in it.
I definitely think that's a possibility. Just Saturday, when Dr. JT and I were speaking again, we talked about early adopters. If on March 28th, there are teachers that are really into it and they're ready to use it, then during some of the downtime that naturally happens during testing in April, the platform will be ready for teachers to use on the 28th. The clever rostering and getting students into the platform may not be ready, but everything that is, all of the content that is created and utilized within the platform, anything that would be a printable can be printed. Any content that could be streamed could be streamed. The only piece that may be missing before this school year is over is students actually logging into the platform to begin to use it. But the intention is to get it into their hands as quickly as possible, but in the right way. All right, so we're gonna keep it moving. Thank you so much for your updates provided today. We're gonna pass it over to Director Dash to give us a quick facilities update. We have no action items being presented at this time for next week. Director Dash, take us home.
Alrighty. We did a walkthrough with DHHS of two of our unused buildings. Since the DHHS got a hold of us and asked about possibly renting some of our unused space. We have no word yet if they're still interested. This week we are or leasing, I'm sorry, not renting. Today I wrote an RFP for the gym roof here at the high school. I hope to get that out this week. So hopefully we can get some quotes back for that. I've been working on some internal concerns, trying to set up protocols and processes for the department. I've been working with the team supervisors on solutions for asset management and supplies and workload efficiency. To elaborate a little bit more on that, and I won't take much but like 5 sentences. There wasn't much of a department to inherit. I'm making it better. Someday, if I leave, it should still run on its own. Yeah. Let's see, 87 tickets have been opened in the last 2 weeks. 13 of those tickets are still open. We've finished all the other ones. We've been working on the department budget. Surf Pros received their payment and was working with the insurance company monitoring the gym floor. And we just found out today that I guess it's been an issue, but Cape needs a new water heater, so I'm gonna look into getting that fixed. That's it.
All right, any questions? So can you do me a favor and ensure that your teachers and your administrators know that you have to know something exists in order for it? Like everyone's clear that they have to make a ticket, because I think sometimes we get in a place of comfort where we see something 1,000 times and we just tell ourselves that's how it is, and we may not think to report it to you that it's an issue. So are they all clear on your process for getting tickets to you, the teachers, the principals?
Yeah, pretty,
Okay.
for the most part. I still do things like I have in the IT department. I just kind of brought that over into maintenance and it's like, put in a ticket, then we have a list. Well, is there anything specific that you're thinking of?
No, my daughter was telling me some things that she's giving me an earful about some things, and they weren't anything major, but I told her like the teachers and the principals can report that stuff to Director Dash. It was minor things. And so, and I told her, I said, a lot of times you guys might see things that the teachers don't see because they might not go into your bathroom or little things. She was just in a place of letting me know how she felt about certain things. And I reiterated to her, I don't fix those things. And they have to tell the director that that's the issue in order for.
What I can do is I can remind people, I could probably send something out in like an email saying, hey, I'm
tickets in.
not a mind reader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything major, or because you would have heard from me already if it was something big, but it was just like little details.
Oh, okay, right
Yeah,
on.
wasn't anything horrible. Okay, any other questions? Secretary
guess just a
Triplett?
reminder.
Oh, trustee Gavin and then Secretary Triplett.
Just a reminder that I requested a list of the buildings that we own that are occupied, like the status of those buildings.
I couldn't hear that. What was that again?
I requested a list of the buildings that we own. Like, for example, I didn't know that, for a long time, I didn't know that is it the skill center?
Yeah,
That the skill center was even being utilized, right? And so just a list of the properties that we own.
yeah, we're working on that. It's not in this today because we just didn't finish, and
Mhm.
I figure I didn't want to report on something that wasn't finished because that would look bad if you asked me questions about it, and I'd be like, I don't know. You know, like, yeah.
I'm guessing we probably have it somewhere. It's just a matter of.
Yeah.
Is it current? Like, not just like what we own, because, yeah.
So I know most recently, I remember there was a capital improvement plan, an initial capital improvement plan that was supposed to be the start of the master's facilities plan. It was presented by the previous CFO when I initially got here, Mr. Johnson. So I can try to see if I can find that in my records because that gave us every building owned, the current status of the building, what he was thinking about doing with the buildings, because I have been pushing for a master's facilities plan. And I know that that stuff might not be up to date, but it probably is good data to start with using if we could dig it out.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing that Angela might have something like that in her files.
May I
So-
also add that if it's possible that, if we can get kind of updates on where we are with the master's facility plan within our updates.
We
if
got
that's
the,
something that
oh,
the board
I'm
is
gonna,
interested
Yep.
in.
Dr. Buss said he's gonna provide that
I
update.
will
Good deal. Thank
let
you.
Dr. Butts answer that one.
Okay, Secretary Triplett?
I was just looking here as you were typing and what have you on the report for today for the board. And I, did a walkthrough with the Department of Health and Human Services of two of our unused buildings as they inquired about possibly leasing unused space. I didn't even know we were even doing anything like that.
So I sent out an email to the board to let you guys know that the state had expressed interest.
I mean, I just didn't, I mean, it's weird. It's not following protocol. I mean, for me, it's weird to me that people are walking through our buildings and we don't even know what's going on with our building. And so our connection, again, for me, I've never heard of this. Maybe you know something about it with the state and all the stuff. I didn't even know people were going through our building to even look that we were even talking about leasing buildings or anything. I didn't even know we were there.
Okay, so did you all receive the email? Did you guys get that update? So I literally sent the whole email chain with the initial gentleman asking and inquiring about potential leasing of buildings because we had a previous conversation where we learned that there was someone that was interested in a lease or a purchase, and Dr. Buss told him that he didn't think his board would be interested. So at that time, I told him, you have that conversation with your board prior, which I think all of us said we didn't know that they were interested. They came back again and said they're interested in potentially leasing a building. I asked that they have initial conversations with administration and start those discussions. And then once they get to a point to where it's something that admin is or is not potentially interested in, they come to the board at that point so we can look at what the state is even wanting or looking for or offering for leasing. So this may be an email you might want to check because the board is fully aware that this process is initiated and that we started.
I don't know about no board being fully aware of it because the board couldn't fully be aware of it because I'm not. And I'm on the
It's
board.
in the Secretary Triplett.
Yes,
I'm just
Madam
trying to make sure you know that it was not an oversight that you didn't get the information. We sent it to you.
Madam President, at this current time, as the chairman of the facilities committee, and I speak to you and everybody else on a regular basis, I've never heard this. And I'm not going to back it forward any kind of way about not reading the email and all this different stuff because when you do read the emails, we get to the table, it's the same stuff. And I've expressed that to you. Okay, it's the same stuff. It's the same non-movement. It's the same, just chop, chop, chop. I'm saying people are coming into building. We don't know anything about this. I don't know if anybody else did it. I don't know anything about it. So that's my question. That clarification is for me. Evidently, you know, and everybody else know, but I did. I didn't know we was having people walking through buildings. What buildings did they walk through? How was
Okay,
the building
so
identified?
I want to just state for the record, there was an
I read
so,
the email.
but
You
I
don't have
want
to
to
state that for me for the
okay,
record.
but
This is my time to talk. You on my time.
I am the chair, and I cannot allow you to say that I have not informed you of something because I specifically asked that they come before the committee.
I did not say
Okay.
anything about you. It's my time. And I have a right to ask any question that I want to. And I don't care if it's Department of Health and Human Services.
It's not about, okay,
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
just gonna call a brief recess.
I'm not doing it either. I'm not. It's the board in its entirety.
All right, so I'm sorry. So just as we get wrapped up, we're gonna return from recess. We are back in session as of 8:24 PM. The only thing that I was attempting to clarify is that on January 9th, 2025, I sent an email to the board that says, "Good morning, please see the below thread. The state has interest in leasing a BHAS property, which is potential revenue to the district. We will initiate conversations and ultimately make the decision as a governance team." On January 6th, I also sent an email that included the facilities committee that asked specifically for the district to initiate conversations and then have a meeting with the facilities committee so we can discuss what it is that the state is even interested in and what it is that they're presenting to us. So at this point, all that Bud was indicating is that they had the initial meeting and looked at property so that they know if they want a property, what property, things of that nature. Because in order to even start a discussion about leasing a building, one would need to see the building to see if they're interested in leasing it. Once they're able to do that part, their part internally as an administration, then they will bring it to the facilities committee. And then the facilities committee and the administration, if interested, will bring it to the full governance team. I did my absolute best on January 6th and January 9th to ensure that the facilities committee and the full school board were privy in the fact that even initial conversation had taken place so that everyone would be in the loop. And once an update was available to the board, it could be provided to the facilities committee. That is the only thing that I was attempting to clarify. I was not trying to disrupt any comments that were made by anyone. I just wanted to make it clear that it was just an initial start so that administration can know if they even have interest and they would then be bringing it to us. But everyone has been copied, communicated. This is something that was a month back. Nothing has even happened or taken place for us to even know this is the direction that we want to go. We can continue conversation and discussion as needed. I'm not sure where Bud was with his update. If that was the last update, I think Secretary Triplett had the floor for a comment. If there are any other comments, we can proceed and then move on. Secretary Triplett.
Thank you, Madam President. As I stated, my question and concern as chairman of the facility committee, which we right now, our committees are up in the air and we're having discussions on how our committees look. I have not spoken with the superintendent. I have not spoken with the director of facilities. No one, if you send information out about this being something that someone was interested in. Now, if this is not what's being reported, that they did a walkthrough with these people, I think that right there is a little far-fetched, just for me, and where we are as it relates to our property, our facilities, plan of action, where we are and where we are not. So this right here, as far as anybody taking, this is my concern. So I hope and people did not take that personal.
People did.
Well, okay, well, people can't be that sensitive.
Gonna move forward. As it relates to old business, the only thing is just a reminder of our board retreats. I know we're gonna take a vote on our work sessions next week or look at our committees next week. Our target for the next board retreat, we discussed having financial things. We had our first one, that was focused on effective board meetings and things of that nature. The second one was a direct request. We put that one first from trustee Gavin to make sure we understood committees of the whole. This third retreat, we discussed having financial workshops so we can make sure that we are sharp in our understanding of school finances and budgeting of things of that nature, so we can be fiscally responsible and as strong as we can be as a board. So Dr. Buss is looking into the best financial training for us. MASB has one, but they recommend that you've taken 103 before. And I don't think CBA 103, I'm pretty sure, is a finance course. All of us have not taken that. I can think of at least maybe one trustee, maybe. So we might be able to get away with it, but we're looking at all options for a finance and budgeting training for the board. And that's what I'm anticipating for the next board retreat. A potential date for that, though, depends on which particular entity we utilize and what their window of availability would be. So just confirming that that still is a high priority for me. I know that we have potential dates of using work sessions as recommended by Ms. Gavin, but I wanted to at least ensure you all had what the anticipated topic would be. Next on the agenda, we have new business. I have none. Is there anyone here to make an open public comment? You have the floor.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and Dr. Butt, Superintendent and board members. Thank you for staying. My purpose tonight was come and make a comment on the open athletic director here at Benton Harbor High School. And I believe known that Coach Jennings the last 20 years and know that he's dedicated his career and his teaching to our students here at Benton Harbor High School. I believe he would make a great athletic director. There's a good history of ADs who started here as students or teachers and moved in an AD department and made really, really good director of their. I'm kind of nervous now. I'm better talking on one-on-one.
Don't be nervous.
So I shouldn't be because
No.
you're wonderful people. I want to make a good presentation for or Coach Jennings, and I think he would hit a home run for Ben Harbor School of being our athletic director here. I know Human Resources makes decision, and board members also in that. So that's what I have to say this evening, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time here and your dedication to the students at Benton Harbor area schools. I thank you very much, and God bless you.
God bless you too.
Thank you. Anyone else for open public comment? Hearing none. Superintendent announcements and comments. Dr. Buds.
Thank you, Madam President. I have none at this time.
Board members' announcements and comments. Trustee Doyle. Oh, she's not present. Trustee Gavin.
Just want to thank everybody who may be listening on Zoom and everybody who took the time out to come out tonight. I'm really excited about what's possible at Ben Harbor area schools. I'm excited about the rollout for the 21st Century STEAM program. I'm excited about what Mrs. Hightower is doing. I'm excited about the HBCU trip. I just believe that there's in the coding class that we learned about the coding opportunity that our young people are doing, that we learned about this happening at MLK. I think that we have so many positive, proactive things that are happening, and I just want to continue to see that. I'm wired for continuous improvement, and it's not to pick at anybody. It's just that whenever I see something, I'm always thinking, how can we make this better? How can we expand it? How can we grow it? And so that's kind of what's going on with the peer mediation program. I'm excited about that program. I want to see our students rise as leaders and become the solution for the problems in their school and in their environment. And I just have just a tremendous belief in what's possible if we are able to get them in the practice of, even if they don't have even if they don't have a fight to prevent from happening, an opportunity for them to come together on a regular basis and sharpen the saw, learn the skills of promoting their program and how to do that and how to connect with adults who will work with them. So I hope that the way that I offer suggestions is not taken in any other vein other than like, I just really see what's possible and am excited about what we can do for our kids. And so I don't know if I had an opportunity to thank Director Brock Carter for what she presented and what she's been able to do in this short period of time. And I'm looking forward to also seeing the HR report. I want to make sure that we are working diligently to fill those vacancies, making sure that CAPE has whatever Benton Harbor High School has. And yeah, just excited about driver's education, just seeing the things that we envision coming to life and happening in such a short period of time. I'm very excited about that. And I do believe that this was a great meeting. I really believe that the energy in the meeting was great. I think that, sometimes you do have to take a break. That's in anything, and then come back and get back to the business at hand. And it's okay. Like, it's okay. I think we're off to a really great start. And yeah, you all have a wonderful Tuesday evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Trustee Gavin. Trustee Rocket Martin.
That finance training that you talked about, you're right. If you were board certified level 1, we've had the prerequisite that they're requesting 103. So that'll be good for us to go on with the rest of the training. I also like to thank I do think this was a good meeting. And I also would like to say that for the peer mediation, I know that was something that we put in place, but with putting that in place, maybe we should have put in the other parts that go with it, because initially we were focusing on the problem solving for conflicts. So maybe we can start looking now, like Mrs. Gavin saying, at adding that, like a curriculum type thing, something that you can, do it in a way, or even as a club, where the kids can meet, and talk about it. And the high school can meet with the middle school, and middle school could eventually, at times meet with the little elementary kids or whatever. As a club, that would be great. A conflict resolution club, however you want to name it. But that's something that we can look, forward to maybe doing, and to keep it going and have kids join up as they please, But once again, thank you for the work that you do. Thank you, Dr. Butts, for the work that you do. And I can only imagine how much more you could have done, without certain things going on. But I appreciate the work that you've done thus far. And I continue to look forward to working with you and your team and my fellow board members to further the process, the successfulness of our district. I'll put it like that.
Thank you, Trustee Rocket Martin. Secretary Triplett.
I have no comment.
I have none either. Motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second or support?
I support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Quick comment. I wanted to thank Ms. Singer. You are amazing. I keep forgetting to do that. Thank you, Ms. Singer, for all you do.
Secretary Triplett, please call the vote.
President Robinson.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Meeting is adjourned officially at 8:41 p.m. Have a great night.